For over 20 years, Beyoncé has perfected the art of intrigue, allowing her music, visuals, and performances to do the talking. Yet behind that flawless, diamond-polished persona lies a side rarely acknowledged by the Hive. Not every venture of hers has been a chart-topping success. Some of her moves beyond music barely made a ripple. While the Queen has explored industries far beyond the stage, many of these ventures experienced brief bursts of hype before quietly fading, ending unexpectedly or disappearing altogether. Today we dive into a lesser-known chapter of Beyoncé's career, one she might prefer the public didn't scrutinize. In 2004, Beyoncé unveiled her fashion line, House of Deréon, marking a bold transition from music into fashion. Developed. Alongside her mother, Tina Knowles, the collection honored Beyoncé's grandmother, Agnes Deréon, promising a fusion of contemporary style and timeless elegance. The brand, owned under Beyoncé's and Tina's Beyond Productions LLC, offered ready-to-wear pieces that merged modern trends with vintage inspiration, particularly nods to the 1940s and 1970s. At first glance, the venture seemed destined for success. Tina's design expertise, already proven in Destiny's Child stage wardrobes, was a strong foundation. Celebrity endorsements, high-profile runway appearances, and partnerships with major retailers like Bloomingdale's created significant early buzz. Yet despite all the promise, the line ultimately failed to sustain its initial momentum, leaving questions about what went wrong behind the glamour. Beyoncé herself fronted the brand's spring 2009 campaign, shot against the sun-drenched backdrop of Bermuda. Initial projections were ambitious, with the New York Times reporting first-year expectations in the tens of millions. A few years later, the brand even expanded with a junior line, Deréon, signaling high hopes for growth. Yet from the beginning, critics remained skeptical. Complaints centered on inconsistent quality and a muddled brand identity. Reviewers often described the pieces as overly busy, cheaply produced, and misaligned with Beyoncé's carefully cultivated image. Many observers noted the brand's struggle to pinpoint a clear target audience, while the absence of a cohesive branding strategy hindered its commercial performance. By 2010, House of Deréon had quietly exited the U.S. market, shifting distribution exclusively to European department and specialty stores. But just 2 years later, declining sales forced the brand back across the Atlantic. Reports surfaced of executive departures, including CEO Philip Davis, as well as staff layoffs. The Junior line was discontinued first, followed swiftly by the main House of Deréon line. Beyoncé never publicly commented on the brand's closure. Fashion insiders speaking to The Guardian suggested that the failure was rooted in attempting to chase too many trends simultaneously, rather than establishing a distinctive signature. Style. The lesson was clear. Star power can open doors and get your designs onto racks, but it cannot guarantee that shoppers will reach for their wallets. And indeed, that's the hard truth of celebrity ventures. Success is never guaranteed. In 2010, Beyoncé launched her debut fragrance, Heat, through a strategic licensing deal. The fragrance became an instant phenomenon, reportedly generating $400 million in global sales and earning the distinction of the best-selling celebrity fragrance brand worldwide. Yet follow-up scents like Heat Rush, Pulse, and Midnight Heat struggled to replicate that initial triumph. As the market became increasingly saturated with celebrity perfumes, Heat gradually lost its momentum. By 2013, signs of decline were evident. Beyoncé's perfume line began appearing at heavy discounts in drugstores, a clear signal that retail traction had waned. Even the licensing company's sales reports shifted focus to other celebrity partnerships, quietly pushing Heat to the background. In February 2019, Beyoncé partnered with her personal trainer, Marco Borges, to launch 22 Days Nutrition, an organic, vegan, gluten-free, and soy-free meal delivery service. Initially, it capitalized on the rising clean eating trend. However, the venture faced global backlash. Experts, including representatives from the British Association for Nutrition and Lifestyle Medicine, warned that the low-calorie meal plan could pose health risks and lead to nutritional deficiencies. By late 2016, media attention had dried up, and the program quietly transitioned into a product-based platform with a meal planning feature, discontinuing the original subscription service. Beyoncé's first major step into athleisure came in 2016 with IvyPark, launched as a 50-50 partnership with Topshop owner Sir Philip Green. The collaboration symbolized another ambitious move to diversify her brand beyond music. Yet, as history has shown, success in one arena doesn't always translate seamlessly into another. Beyoncé's debut Ivy Park collection was an immediate triumph, selling out within hours at major retailers. Yet by 2018, controversy struck. Allegations of sexual harassment and racial abuse against Sir Philip Green compelled Beyoncé to purchase his 50% stake in the brand. While the move was presented as a display of power and independence, insiders revealed to Business of Fashion that the scandal had already begun to strain Ivy Park's retail relationships. In early 2020, Beyoncé relaunched Ivy Park in partnership with Adidas. The initial drops sold out almost instantly, riding the wave of hype. However, as the novelty faded, sales sharply declined. By 2023, the Wall Street Journal reported that Ivy Park's annual revenue had fallen over 50%, totaling approximately $40 million, far below Adidas's projected $250 million. The collaboration ultimately ended in March 2023, with both parties citing creative differences and disappointing performance. Of course, Beyoncé's business ventures have not been limited to fashion. Parkwood Entertainment, founded in 2008, as her production company partnered with Sony Music and TriStar Pictures to produce the film Cadillac Records. Beyoncé starred as the legendary Etta James, earning a Grammy for her performance of At Last. Despite her accolades, the film struggled commercially, with a $12 million budget and just $9 million in global box office revenue, marking a notable flop. The following year, Parkwood attempted redemption with Obsessed, starring Beyoncé and Idris Elba. Financially, the project was a success, grossing over $70 million worldwide on a $20 million budget. Critically, however, it floundered. Reviews were harsh, with some commentators even questioning Beyoncé's acting abilities, casting a shadow over her cinematic ambitions despite the box office gains. From there, Parkwood Entertainment evolved, expanding into a full-fledged management company and imprint record label under Columbia Records. Beyoncé assembled a robust team of assistants, executives, visual and creative directors, a general manager, a brand manager, and digital media specialists to help shape her influence in pop culture. After severing ties with her father in 2011 amid allegations of financial misconduct, Beyoncé took control of her career, managing herself through Parkwood while releasing her studio albums and televised specials under the label. She also signed emerging talent, including sisters Khloe and Khloe Bailey. However, in 2023, Beyoncé faced scrutiny over Khloe's debut album, In Pieces. The project launched with minimal promotional support. Beyoncé did not post on Instagram or congratulate her sister on Twitter. Consequently, the album debuted at number 119 on the US Billboard charts, selling just 10,000 copies in its first week. The online reaction was swift and heated. Fans debated whether Beyoncé had quietly undermined Khloe's debut, withholding the kind of visibility only she could provide, or whether her absence was a deliberate strategy to shield her own brand from criticism, while Khloe absorbed the mixed reception. Regardless of intent, the narrative quickly took hold. The mentor had left her protégé to struggle alone. As for Khloe Bailey, the artist, she has yet to release a full-length studio album. A core issue appears to be Beyoncé's management style. Parkwood is run with the same meticulous, tightly controlled approach as her personal brand. This precision works for her as a superstar, but may not translate effectively for the development of other artists, leaving them vulnerable to the challenges of the industry without the full support they need. Parkwood remains tightly controlled, intensely secretive, and centered almost entirely on Beyoncé's own schedule and priorities. Emerging artists require constant visibility, media engagement, and creative momentum to establish themselves in an overcrowded market, but Parkwood artists rarely receive consistent promotion. Both Khloe and Khloe Bailey have shared that much of Beyoncé's guidance comes in the form of letters, which feels less like hands-on mentorship and more like a distant correspondence. In effect, her approach keeps her so removed from her signees that it almost seems as if there's a restraining order in place. Additionally, Beyoncé's own mystique and pursuit of perfection create pressure for her artists to emulate her standards, without having her resources or platform. Instead of cultivating individuality and distinct branding, Parkwood can come across as attempting to mold its artists into miniature extensions of Beyoncé herself, diluting their personal artistry. The public rarely glimpses these artists' authentic personalities or creative visions in a way that feels independent of their mentor's shadow. Ultimately, being a world-class performer does not automatically translate to being an effective label executive. Beyoncé's success has always hinged on her control over her narrative and her ability to operate on her own terms. Parkwood's limitations suggest she has yet to construct a system that enables other artists to do the same. Running a label requires consistent investment, robust marketing, and a willingness to let artists take risks and even fail publicly in order to grow. Without these elements, Beyoncé's name may open doors for her signees, but it cannot sustain them long enough for true artistic success. These challenges have left cracks in Parkwood's otherwise polished brand. Signing to Beyoncé's label should be every artist's dream: instant industry credibility, access to top-tier producers, and the endorsement of one of music's most respected icons. Yet, observing how Khloe's debut was handled, the dream began to feel more like a nightmare. Here lies the elephant in the room. Beyoncé's air of mystery is a cornerstone of her musical genius. She remains one of the last true pop stars capable of disappearing for months, only to return and captivate the entire world. Her rare interviews, selective appearances, and meticulously orchestrated album rollouts create an aura of grandeur, solidifying her untouchable status. In music, silence breeds speculation, and speculation generates hype. However, applying this same approach to business ventures, particularly in consumer-facing industries like fashion, beauty, or lifestyle products, often yields far less enchanting results. Customers crave accessibility. They want to buy into a lifestyle they can understand, relate to, and see themselves in. Brands like Rihanna's Fenty and Kim Kardashian's Skims flourish precisely because the founders are actively engaged, communicating directly with their audience and showcasing themselves using the products in real life. In contrast, Beyoncé rarely lifts the curtain, and her absence can make products feel distant or neglected once initial launch excitement fades. Another challenge lies in assuming that name recognition alone can sustain a brand indefinitely. Beyoncé's fame is extraordinary, but even the most iconic names cannot rely solely on celebrity status to maintain consumer loyalty. Beyoncé's business ventures often operate under the assumption that an initial surge of attention will sustain them, rather than committing to the ongoing work of cultivating a loyal consumer base. There's also a relatability gap that her competitors have managed to bridge. When Rihanna shares a barefaced selfie applying Fenty skin, or Kim Kardashian casually showcases Skims in a dressing room video, audiences can envision themselves in those moments. With Beyoncé, the aspirational image she projects often feels detached from the everyday reality of her products. Few truly imagine her running errands in an IvyPark tracksuit. Without these humanizing glimpses, her products can feel more like coveted collectibles than practical essentials. Beyoncé's name will always command stages, dominate streaming platforms, and ignite stadiums. Yet in the business world, the story is quieter. Time and again, launches are explosive. Marketing is flawless, and hype is unavoidable, until it fades. Lights dim, partnerships end, and products vanish as though they never existed. One can only wonder how long ventures like Sacred Hair Care will endure. This doesn't diminish her influence or her legacy as a performer, but it underscores a critical truth. Even the most powerful music brand cannot automatically secure lasting success in other industries. In business, as in life, star power draws attention, but strategy, adaptability, and consistent execution sustain it. For Beyoncé, that is a stage she has yet to fully master. If you enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments below, and thank you for watching T-Plug.